Mahamuni Swaha Tayata Om Muni Muni 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 Mahamuni Swaha Me Tse Wei De Chen Jie Re Si Ti Me Kien Bei Wang Po Cham Pel Yang Kang Chen Kie Pei Zu Gen Zong Ka Pa Lo Sang Tra Pei Shab La So Wa De Me Tse Wei De Chen Jie Re Si Ti Me Kien Bei Wang Po Cham Pel Yang Kang Chen Kie Pei Zu Gen Zong Ka Pa Lo Sang Tra Pei Shab La So Wa De Me Tse Wei De Chen Jie Re Si Ti Me Kien Bei Wang Po Cham Pel Yang Kang Chen Kie Pei Zu Gen Zong Ka Pa Lo Sang Tra Pei Shab La So Wa De Me Tse Wei De Chen Jie Re Si Ti Me Kien Bei Wang Po Cham Pel Yang Kang Chen Kie Pei Zu Gen Zong Ka Pa lo sang tra pe shabla so waden mi me ze wei de chen je re si ti me kien bei wang bo jam bel yang康健业被自见宗卡帕楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心。提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的妹妹在为的真真热心提没见被王婆张表扬，康健也被自见宗卡巴楼桑查被沙布拉索瓦的 每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴。楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬。康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙布拉索瓦的，每每在为得见见瑞西，体美见被王波长表扬，康健给被主见宗卡巴，楼上茶杯，沙拉索瓦的。
คะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอะเตวะนาจะปารันจะจานันจะเตวะนาปูจาจะปูชนียานังเอตัมมังกรมุตตมังปฏิรูปเทตวะโตจะบุปเพจักตาบุญญาตาอัตตตัมมาปานิทิจาเอตัมมังกรมุตตมังตัจจันจะติปันจะวินัยโยจะตุกินติโตตุปาติตาจยาวาจาเอตัมมังกรมุตตมังทานันจะยาจยกตังกะโหอานากุราจะกัมมันตาเอตัมมังกรมุตตมัง
请翻开你的中文课本第29页，我们一起念诵心经。南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
가만하면 되고.
The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. Thus have I heard once the Blessed One was staying in Rajgriha at Vulture Peak, along with a great community of ones and a great community of bodhisattvas, and at that time the Blessed One entered the meditative absorption on the varieties of phenomena called appearance of the profound. At that time as well, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, clearly beheld the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom itself, and saw that even the five aggregates are empty of intrinsic existence. Thereupon, through the Buddha's inspiration, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and said, "How should any son or daughter who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom train?" When this had been said, the holy Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, spoke to the Venerable Shariputra and said, "Shariputra, any noble son or noble daughter who so wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should clearly see this way. They should see perfectly that even the five aggregates are empty of intrinsic existence. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, and form too is not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are emptiness. They are without defining characteristics. They are not blown, they do not cease, they are not defiled, they are not undefiled, they are not deficient, and they are not complete. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no mental formation, and no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, No body and no mind. There is no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no texture, and no mental objects. There is no I element, and so on up to it. No mind element, including up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance. There is no extinction of ignorance, so on up to it. No aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, or path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and even no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since bodhisattvas have no attainments, they rely on this perfection of wisdom and abide in it. Having no obscuration in their minds, they have no fear, and by going utterly beyond error, they will reach the end of nirvana. All the Buddhas who abide in the three times attain the full awakening of unexalted, perfect enlightenment by relying on this profound perfection of wisdom. Therefore, one should know that the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unexalted mantra, the mantra equal to unequaled, the mantra that quells all suffering, is true because it's not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed that Yata Gata Gata Paragata Parasanga de Bodhi Swaha Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, the great beings, should train the perfection of wisdom in this way. And thereupon the Blessed One arose from the meditative absorption and commended the holy Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, saying, "This is excellent, 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 O noble child. It is so, it should be just so." One must practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have revealed, for then even the Tathagatas will rejoice. As the Blessed One uttered these words, the Venerable Shariputra, the holy Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, along with the entire assembly, including the worlds of gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, all rejoiced and hailed what the Blessed One has spoken. And this last final one verse says, "May all our mental afflictions be overcome. May the light of wisdom shine. May all obstacles be averted. And may we engage in bodhisattva practices."
空地行为了。喂，对手，对，对不对？
Do we have any prayers in the beginning? So we have already done the Mangala Sutra in Pali and then the Heart Sutra in Chinese. His Holiness is asking how the translations are being done. And it's all simultaneous from the translation booths for various languages. I prostrate to the Gautama, who, out of compassion, taught the sacred Dharma to rid us of all views, distorted views. So Master Nagarjuna's verse. So Master Nagarjuna in his Mula Madhyamaka Karika, which has about 27 chapters, and at the end of these, at the end, he has written this verse. I prostrate to the Gautama who, moved by his compassion, taught the sacred Dharma to rid us of all distorted views. So it is a very powerful statement. So the Buddha was moved by his compassion
말한지 아니 동에게 싸워대 미십에 몽배 지기 인도산에
And because our suffering is ignorance,
따와 신질로가 따와 다다라 봤어야
and therefore, to get rid of all distorted views, philosophical views and ideologies and so forth, and to develop the correct views through study and then reflection, and gaining understanding through study, reflection, and applying our understanding in meditation. And when you realize emptiness through these processes, so from my own experience, so in the beginning when I heard about teachings on emptiness, I just had this feeling that it is very good. And then through my study of Master Nagarjuna's the fundamental wisdom verses of the middle way, and also Master Chandrakirti's Madhyamaka Avatara, entering the middle way, and his Autocommentary to it. And having studied these, when I reflected on the teaching on emptiness, through reflection I gained some conviction on this teaching. And of course, the meditation experience of meditation through on emptiness through meditation has to come about in time. So if you think carefully, you'll be able to see that things do not exist from their own side. As quantum physics also says, so quantum physics says that things appear to have some objective existence, whereas they do not exist the way they appear. And so when you are able to think along these lines, through studying, reflection, and in meditation, you'll be able to see that things have no objective existence whatsoever. And then these teachings, of course, focus on emptiness. But with regard to altruism, why you need to help others is mainly not by giving material offerings and so forth, but by getting rid of the distorted views within the minds of sentient beings. And so you need to give teachings on emptiness. And so Master Nagarjuna pays homage to, in gratitude to the Buddha at the end of this text, Mula Madhyamaka Karika, the verse that I recited. And so I have memorized Abhisamaya Alankara, ornament of the middle, ornament of the clear realization, and also Madhyamaka Avatara. And so Abhisamaya Alankara, the content mainly is the Bodhisattva paths and grounds, and Bodhichitta and so forth. The what we call the methods aspects of the practice, and Madhyamaka Avatara focuses on emptiness. And so I always keep my copy of this text beside my bed. So these distorted views, of course, cannot go away through prayer or recitation of mantras. But what you need to understand is the distorted views, how they perceive things. And so you need to understand that. And through that, you need to understand. So there are different reasonings that are used disprove that things have some objective existence.
이제 인도 상제점 된 데기 투서 전부권에
So the 5 proofs are called diamond splinter reasoning, which refutes existence and non-existence, which analyzes the cause of things. And then there is the analysis of the effects, refuting existence and non-existence. And then the reasoning called one and many, analyzing the nature of things. And so this verse that I have recited is a very powerful one in understanding how the Buddha taught in his Dharma out of compassion for sentient beings to get rid of their distorted views. And so when I think along the teaching of the Buddha, reflect on the teaching of the Buddha, I also reflect on these lines from the Madhyamaka Avatara, chapter 6, verse number 34, 35, 36. And so these lines that I just recited are the ones which I reflect on a daily basis, and they really are effective to counter one's distorted views. So these verses basically refute the absurd consequences. I mean, they and so regarding the Buddha himself, he went through the process of purification and therefore went through the 6-year austerity practice. And so though he went through that austerity, practice of austerity, he found that merely single-pointed concentration is not enough to get rid of all our distorted views, the wrong views, perceptions, misunderstandings. And so the masters like Nagarjuna and so forth have also delved into the teaching of the Buddha through logic and reasoning. And so just as the Buddha himself has stated that his followers should not just take his teachings on the face value, just taking them literally all the time, but they should investigate and thoroughly analyze the teaching and then accept it. And so, once you have studied the text and given thought to them, you will be able to come to the conviction that things do not exist as they appear, the way they appear to us, and therefore this clinging to objectivity in things, that things have some independent objective existence, the clinging will be reduced. And so that actually counters our grasping at some true independent existence in things and self. And so the Buddha, who gave such teachings, lived over 2,500 years ago, but even today, the teaching of the Buddha himself survive, and this is quite valuable, significant. And so with regard to the teaching of the Buddha, of course we do take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We say, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, and I take refuge in Sangha. And that alone is not enough. Mere faith is not enough. but we need to investigate, go deeper into the teaching of the Buddha, and therefore we need to study it. And so in the beginning, when the Buddha was alive, in India, people began to take interest in his teaching, and therefore, through their interest, they came to understand that it is important to study the teaching of the Buddha, and therefore, gradually, the Nalanda monastic institution came into being. So we also, those gathered here, the Buddhists are followers of the Nalanda tradition. So right now, at this critical time that we are in, we have the opportunity to study the Dharma and also think through the teaching, reflect on it, and then also develop the experience of what the Buddha has taught within us. This is something that is obvious to us. And so, though we are in this degenerate age, as we call it, but it is like we never had such an opportunity before to involve ourselves, engage ourselves in the teaching of the Buddha. And so, regarding myself, since my childhood, I have memorized the important texts of Buddhism, and then listened to the explanation of these texts from my tutors, and I have studied quite a lot. And then I came into exile. And so I had more opportunity to reflect on the teachings that I had studied while in Tibet. And so this has been, becoming an exile has been like a blessing in disguise. And so not just taking for granted the teaching of the Buddha, the teachings like Master Nagarjuna's, Master Chandrakirti, Madhyamaka Avatara, and so forth. We have the opportunity, and so this is a great, significant opportunity that we have. And then through study, reflection, and meditation, you can see that there is transformation happening within oneself. Of course, I'm not praising myself, my qualities, but with regard to the view of emptiness and Bodhichitta, I can say I have quite a good degree of experience. Where I may not claim to have the genuine experience, but some kind of experience which comes about, which I can feel when I put some effort in meditation on these points of meditation. And so through this, I can feel peace of mind. I experience peace of mind, and that in turn has helped my physical health, and I could sleep better. And so in my daily life, I can feel that I have a relaxed way of a manner of living one's life. So I'm not taking, it's not about like taking tranquilizer, but what we need to know is the workings of our emotions, like anger, jealousy, arrogance or pride, and so forth, how these develop in us and how to counter them through understanding the teaching. So though you may not think about the next life or reaching that of liberation or omniscient state, but just in this life also, of course we have all kinds of problems, but we can deal with these negative emotions, pride, arrogance, and so forth.
또 저어 전부디 시부지 개체부 송체 된제
So, based on the teaching of the Buddha, that things do not have any independent objective existence, and also Bodhichitta, you can see that when you think over and over again on this meditation on emptiness and Bodhichitta, you'll be able to see how changes happen within yourself by countering this strong clinging to some objective existence in things and the selfishness. And when you have this kind of experience, you'll see there is an easiness within yourself, a feeling of easiness and being at ease within and feeling relaxed. So, of course, the teaching of the Buddha today is at a very critical juncture, and particularly the teaching of the Buddha that has spread in Tibet, which was founded by Master Chandrakirti, mainly in the 8th century, and then we followed that tradition of Nalanda. And so, this teaching comprised of both the scriptures and realization. So even today, of course, amongst the Chinese, there are people who hold on to communist ideology, and these hardliners try to obliterate the Buddhist tradition that we have. The Tibetan people's faith and devotion cannot be obliterated or vanquished. And in fact, the spirit of the Tibetan people and their devotion to our culture and religion is like a strong mountain. So, of course, we are not saying that as we are Buddhists, that everyone should also become Buddhists, but because the Buddha himself gave his teaching in accordance with the mental dispositions of his followers. Even in India, there were the Vaibhashikas, these 4 schools of philosophy within Buddhism, Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamatra, and Madhyamaka. And so people have different mentality, different dispositions to different philosophical ideas. And so today, in this world, the 7+ billion people have different mental dispositions. But all these religious traditions, the essential message is that of good heart, a warm-heartedness. And then with regard to the teaching of the Buddha, of course, on top of that, we have the teaching on things having no objective independent existence, just like what the quantum physics says. And so as soon as we wake up in the morning, we should think of helping others, using this life, not harming others, but helping others and to be good person. Why we need to do that is, if you are able to think more deeply, you should think of the fourfold emptiness taught in the Heart Sutra, the Heart of the Wisdom Sutra, which says form is empty, emptiness is form, form is not other than emptiness, and emptiness too is not other than form. And so through understanding the way things are, that they lack any independent objective existence, then you'll be able to apply that teaching within yourself to transform your mind. And so, one of the disciples or followers of Master Nagarjuna was Master Chandrakirti, and his text the Madhyamaka Avatara, Entering the Middle Way, and its Autocommentary. So he was one of the topmost followers or disciples of Master Nagarjuna, Master Chandrakirti. And so with regard to Madhyamaka Avatara, the root text, we in Tibetan tradition, we memorize these in and I also received an explanatory transmission on this text and auto-commentary from Khen Rinpoche, Gunga Wangchuk of Sakya tradition. So I will read through the text. So this, His Holiness is reading through the auto-commentary. So it says, explanation of the supplement to the middle way. In the language of India, Madhyamaka Avatara Bhashyam Nama, in Tibetan, Umalajukpa Shepa Shichawa, and then we come across the translator's homage to youthful Arya Manjushri. So Yangdi Rinpoche is informing His Holiness about where we have reached, where he stopped last year. So this text of Madhyamaka, the middle way philosophy, written by Master Chandrakirti, is a great text. So I have memorized the root text, Madhyamaka Avatara itself, in my childhood, and I read this auto-commentary whenever I have time. So for the English readers, if you have the same book that I have, I'm using, we are on page 23, paragraph 2. Now, even though donor sentient beings are not in accord with proper ways, in order to express the great essence of giving, harmonious with the actions the root text mentions. I'm reading the root text from the translation by Dr. Thupten Jimbala. All those with weak compassion and ruthless minds, we are on verse number 11. So in the beginning of this text by Master Chandrakirti, in his homage, verse of homage, he pays homage not to any other beings, high beings or anything like that, but that of great compassion. So Buddhas become enlightened through the practice of that combines bodhicitta and that of the view of emptiness. So compassion or love and affection are very important if we are able to live compassionately and lovingly and affectionately. Our society would be much better. We are born from our mother, and in the beginning of our life, right in the beginning of our life, we have received love and compassion, care from our mothers. And so though we began our life like that, in our education, when we joined education system, schools and so forth, this is the importance of love and compassion are not taught. So right in the beginning of our life, when we are in the mother's womb, developing as fetus and so forth in our mother's womb, when the mother is calm, it helps the embryo, the fetus also. And when the mother's mind is disturbed, that also disturbs the baby. And this is similar to animals as well. And so you can see the mammals, when they give birth to their children, how much care and love and affection they give to their child. So this is very important, love and compassion. But we lack the education on love and compassion in school systems. So I have this plan to meet with the academicians in college and universities to discuss about how to introduce love and compassion in our curriculum. And so, beginning with the kindergarten up to university, and so I wish to have discussion with these professors and academicians on how to combine the ancient Indian tradition of karuna, compassion, with the modern education. So karuna and ahimsa, compassion and non-violence, how to introduce these values in our education system. So in order to teach the students that these are the fundamental values for our peace of mind. So ahimsa and karuna, non-violence and compassion, are taught in ancient Indian tradition, and in the independence struggle of India, Mahatma Gandhi used the teaching of non-violence, ahimsa, to fight for India's independence, though he was educated in the West. But what we need today is the teaching on compassion without touching any religion, but in a secular manner in the schools. So I think about having discussions on these points with academicians, professors, and so forth, and educators. So ahimsa, non-violence, is, of course, was spread. The message of non-violence was spread by Mahatma Gandhi ji, and it has become quite well rooted in the world, well understood. But we need more teachings now on compassion. And so what actually disturbs our mind and makes us unhappy and so forth is our pride and arrogance, anger, jealousy, and so forth. And so what brings peace of mind is love, affection, compassion. And that is not only about, it's not a religious matter at all. If you are compassionate and loving and affectionate towards others, you will be at peace with yourself, and you will have better physical health as well. And so when we have problems, conflicts and so forth, we could also use dialogue to come to terms with each other. And so what we have gone through is using weapons. When there is some kind of a disagreement or discord between groups, people take up weapons. So that has to change. If we can spread the message of love and compassion through education, we can bring peace in the world, which we talk so much about, without having to use any weapons, the nuclear weapons and so forth.
그래서 단에 동부에 주고 쓰 거래. 주고랑 저기 쓰. 단에 동부에 심진 수도 믿음바 인도 신장 랑게 샤워도 지수 템베 진배等이 전부 접을 셔.
So reading from the beginning of where we started today. Those who have inferior or weak compassion. Oh, sorry. I'm reading from Tibetan Jimba's translation. Those with weak compassion and ruthless mind, who seek their own welfare with enthusiasm, even for them, the wealth they desire will come from generosity, a course that relieves suffering. And so, with compassion, you will have peace of mind. Some, like merchants, desiring the result of a very vast wealth, from giving away very little wealth, strive even more than those who strive and are devoted in the wish to give, unlike the Tathagata's children, who are under the influence of compassion. They do not act to strongly increase the fervor which desires to give solely without seeking the results of giving. They turn away from the faults of giving, grasping to resources, but are anxious to behold on to the mere qualities. Even for them, that giving acts to destroy the unfeeling suffering of body, such as hunger and thirst, by means of issuing the excellent and eminent resources, becoming the cause of pacifying suffering. Also, he, this is on page 23, who is devoted to desire to give merely in relation to relieving suffering, since devoid of compassion. And then the verse, indeed, it is through the practice of generosity, and so forth. Verse 12. So when a person becomes compassionate and which earnest in giving to others, such a person would be able to, in the end, meet with Arya beings, and he will cut clean the continuum of cyclic existence. As a result, he will journey to the state of peace. So that is mentioned because it was set forth that the holy ones will come in the presence of donor patrons. One with great appreciation for giving will meet an Arya being through the context of giving. Hence, from his thorough teaching, he will understand the lack of qualities in samsara and actualize the stainless Arya path, thereby having abandoned ignorance of pacifying suffering, casting off the continuity of samsara, engaged from beginningless time in succession of birth and death, one after another, he will completely pass beyond sorrow through the vehicles of hearers and solitary realizers. Hence, to some extent, the giving of those who are not bodhisattva is the cause of attaining the happiness of samsara nirvana. So, these are talking about the advantages of giving or generosity. So, giving beggars money and material wealth, things and so forth, and also donating towards people's education of students, for example. So indeed it is through the practice of generosity that he will swiftly at some point meet the Aryas. He will then cut the clean of some continuum of cyclic existence. As a result, he will journey to the state of peace. So those who are not, the final paragraph on page 23, those who are not bodhisattvas will not definitely enjoy the result explained at the same time as giving, and hence, because the result of giving is unmanifest, it is even possible they will not engage in giving. Yet the bodhisattvas, at the very same time as giving, through completely satisfying the mind of the seeker, attain the strongly desired excellent result of giving, and thus retain a supreme joy and thoroughly enjoy the result of giving at that time. Because of that, they take joy in giving at all times. Therefore, in the manner which was explained, because and giving is the cause of the high status and definite goodness, at all of all, the merciful and non-merciful. So those who keep in mind their pledge to keep sentient beings without much delay attain joy through their generosity, since it's for both the compassionate and the one who is not. This discourse on generosity is primary. So if asked when they satisfy the minds of those who seek by means of distributing resources, what kind of special joy is itself generated in Bodhisattva, as a result of which they are devoted to giving at all times, that is expressed in verse number 14. If simply hearing or thinking of the phrase, "give me," brings the joy to the children of conquerors, joy not experienced even by the arhats who enter into peace, what need is there to speak of joy when giving away everything? So when they first take to mind the very term, "give me," heard from those who seek resources, having understood they are begging from me, bliss arises in the bodhisattvas again and again. If that itself has greater eminence than even the bliss of nirvana, why mention the bliss of those satisfying beings who seek by giving away eternal, external and internal things? If asked, does physical well-being, physical suffering not arise in bodhisattvas who give away external and internal things, as a result of which, how could it be said that they are devoted to giving at all times? And so the bodhisattva are fully dedicated to the well-being of others, and so they are willing to give their resources and their body as well. In explanation, it is just impossible for physical suffering arising in greater beings, Mahasattvas, like cutting mindless things, as was taught in the exalted meditative civilization of Gagan Sutra. It's like this. For example, there exists a grove of great shallow trees. When someone comes there and cuts down one shala, the remaining shala trees do not think it was cut down, we were not cut down, and they have no subsequent attachment to anger and so forth. And then we Verse number 15 says, cutting his body and giving it away, he sees from his own pain the pain of others, such as their birth in the hells, as if he were undergoing their situations himself. Thus swiftly he strives to cut away all their pain. So when the Bodhisattvas sees that pain is something that is not desirable to himself or herself, they also feel the pain of others, such as the pains of the animal rams, Preta rams or hungry ghost ram, and the hell beings. So we are on page 25 now, with regard to giving, which was explained, in order to indicate the classification of giving going beyond, it is mentioned, verse number 16, generosity devoid of gift, giver and receiver and giver is called a supramundane perfection. So this has to do with the understanding of emptiness, that the receiver and the giver have no independent objective existence whatsoever. But when attachment of these arises, it is then said to be mundane perfection. So there, what is beyond? The far shore or bank of the ocean of samsara, Buddhahood, which has the nature of having abandoned, without exception, the obscuration of delusion, object of knowledge. To reach beyond is called gone beyond by the rule which says omission of a syllable is not made when a latter word exists. Since omission of the case of the object is not made, it is formed, or because of being preshodara and so forth, it is left with the letter ending itself. It is explained in particular, having specified the wisdom, and since giving and so forth are similar to the practices gone beyond, they are practices gone beyond through the distinction of the thorough dedication, having posited the as definite to go beyond, it will attain the name giving gone beyond. Also morality and so forth, to be explained, should be understood similarly. It was taught in the Blessed Mother of the wisdom gone beyond. If this giving called gone beyond is separated from the referring to the object to be given, the recipient and the giver, it is supramundane gone beyond. Because the non-referential meditative absorption, equipoise, is supramundane, and because the referential is just mundane, since included by conventional truth, they cannot be understood by those who have not attained bodhisattva state. Further, abiding perfectly in the bodhisattva's mind, and endowed with the light beautifying the sublime ones. If that very giving has reference to the three, it is mentioned as a mundane gone beyond. And now, in order to indicate the so-called ground, which was explained by means of subsequently explaining the eminent qualities of the distinction of knowledge, wisdom, the root text mentions abiding perfectly in the bodhisattva's mind and endowed with the light beautifying the sublime ones. This ground of perfect joy is the white water crystal gem, the moon, which dispels the darkness and reigns victorious. And so this, with this, His Holiness has finished reading the first chapter, and we are now on chapter 2 on page 26, the second mind generation. The explanation of the Bodhisattva's first mind generation, or the first chapter, is finished. Now, in terms of the second, referring to morality, he is endowed with perfect morality and purity. Even in dreams, he shuns the stains of immorality. And so was mentioned, because all the distinctive knowledges of the so-called grounds are the very same nature, the qualities which do not arise without that, such as morality gone beyond and so forth, for their mere excellences act to indicate the distinctions of the second mind generation and so forth. And morality is called, it's so called because of coolness due to extinguishing of fire of mental discouragement, because willingly assuming diluted motivations, and because of not giving rise to negativities on that ground, and due to merely being the cause of happiness, because of being the very object to be relied upon by the holy. So when you are very familiar and habituated, or you are used to restrain yourself, the restrained immoral practices, even in dream, you will be able to restrain immorality. So because its qualities of, in addition, it has the character of 7 abandonments. The 3 practices, non-attachment, non-hatred, and right view, are the motivators. Therefore, in terms of morality, together with motivators, it is thoroughly explained as 10 parts of actions. So sublime morality is fully developed morality. Very purified qualities are pure qualities. Hence something joining the words by saying fully purified sublime morality, because its qualities are fully purified. Morality is highly distinguished. Because of possessing that, the Bodhisattva is not polluted by the stains of broken morality, even at time of dreams. So that's where His Holiness commented about restraint of immorality, even in dreams. And if asked further, how do the qualities of Bodhisattva become completely purified through sublime morality like that? In verse number 1, line 3 and 4, since all movements of his body, speech, and mind are pure, he accumulates the excellent virtue of all 10 courses of actions. As was taught in the second Bodhisattva ground of the Sutra on the 10 grounds, O children of Conqueror, a Bodhisattva who abides in the stainless ground of the Bodhisattvas has naturally abandoned killing, having abandoned clubs, abandoned weapons, abandoned resentment. Since possessing abstention and having engaged in compassion, he has a beneficial, happy, merciful, and loving mind towards all animate beings and spirits. If he does not produce harmfulness to inanimate beings, even through mere imagination, leave alone mentioning and recognizing sentient beings as sentient beings, and purposely enacting evil deeds physically, he has abandoned, page number 27. He has abandoned taking without being given, since satisfied with his own resources and having mercy, as he cares for others' resources, if he recognizes those things fully owned by others as owned by others, and having given up the mind to steal, does not take what is not given, even so much as mere grass and leaves, leave alone mentioning other articles of livelihood. He has abandoned sexual misconduct with regard to desire, since he is satisfied with his own wife, and without desire for others' wife, he does not generate even a thought longing for women owned by others' wives. And so those protected by family, sex, or dharma leave abandoned alone, mentioning, revealing what is not a limb or a meeting of 2 organs
of a couple, he has abandoned speaking falsely, lying. But if speaking truly and speaking justly, he speaks at the proper time, acting in accordance with what was said. If even so much as in dream, having transformed view, patience, desire, and thorough understanding, he does not speak false words through the thought of deceiving, leave alone mentioning speaking falsehoods purposely. He has abandoned divisive words. Since not creating disunity among sentient beings and engaged in non-harmfulness, having heard from this side, it is not told to the other side in order to divide them, and having heard from the other side, it is not told to this side in order to divide them. If not disuniting those reconciled and not further separating those divided, he does not speak words which are to make discord, either truly or falsely. Being glad about discord and appreciative about discord, he has abandoned harsh words and so forth. So he is without harmful. He has also abandoned wrong views. Towards the end of page 27, he abides on the right path with right view and is separated from having the views of virtuous signs, various kinds of auspiciousness and of bad morality. Since his view is honest and without assimilation, without deceit, he is definite to think about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There, the first three parts of virtuous actions are completed by body, the middle four by speech, and the last three by mind. Hence, he accumulates also all 10 parts of virtuous deeds. So, page 28. If asked, are these 10 parts of actions not accumulated by the Bodhisattva who generate the initial mind? Indeed, he also accumulated. However, not only this path of virtue, but in all 10 deeds, he becomes most excellent and pure. For the Bodhisattvas who generate the initial mind, it is not like that. And going on to the verse number 2, just as the radiant autumn moon adorns the night sky, morality adorns him with peace and radiance. Although morality is fully purified like that, if he views a nature in pure morality, thereby it will... Should he, though pure, see in terms of intrinsic nature, his morality will remain impure because of this. Thus, with respect to all three elements of a discipline, he always remains free of the flow of dualistic thoughts. So the last paragraph on page 28. Thus, for a short while, having expressed bodhisattvas as having the excellent morality, after that, in order to indicate it as far greater than the excellent morality of others in general, besides generosity and so forth, and being the support of all excellent qualities. Verse 4 says, wealth through generosity is found even in lower realms. This occurs when one has fractured the legs of morality. As mentioned on page number 29, for the patron having morality, from just that giving excellent resources arise, which are high distinguished among gods and men. Through separating from the legs of morality, they themselves fall into the migrations of bad migrations. Born as an occasional sentient being of hell, an ox, horse, elephant, monkey, naga, and so forth, or pratha, possessing great magical emanations and so forth. For them, they will arise only the various excellent resources. Therefore, verse 4, when interest in capital itself are both exhausted, no prospects remain for one of any future wealth. So we'll not finish reading this text. So I'm thinking now of doing the all-encompassing yoga mind ceremony. So the essence of the Dharma is Bodhichitta, the altruistic spirit of enlightenment, and the view of emptiness. So all the teachings contained in the Kanjur, the translated words of the Buddha, and Tengyur, the translated treatises, commentarial treatises of Indian masters mainly, come down to these two. So as it is mentioned in the text, if you think only of yourself, so you are thinking of only one person, which is a very narrow-minded thinking. Whereas, understanding that all other sentient beings are seeing that they are also same as yourself, not wanting suffering but wanting happiness, that we are all same in that, not even wanting the slightest suffering, undesired experiences, and wanting the greatest happiness and joy. So, because we are all same in that way, the Bodhichitta, which is the warm-heartedness towards other sentient beings, at this time when we have been born as human beings, met with the Dharma. So, if you disregard others and think only about yourself, that is foolish. Whereas you'll be wise if you think of the more number of beings than thinking of yourself alone. So because of our selfishness, all our problems in the world arise. So others are same in not wanting suffering, misery and so forth, but wanting happiness, just like myself. And so thinking that I will not cause harm to anyone, either directly or indirectly, and therefore, I'm thinking along that line, because we are all same in not wanting suffering, even the slightest, and wanting happiness. So animals, birds, and so forth also are same in that they don't want suffering but want happiness. So having this wish or aspiration for the world to be free of any suffering, and that I will not harm anyone, whoever they may be. And of course, in the world, there are people use weapons to kill one another. And so these are done through narrow-mindedness. And so we should think of and pray for world peace and peace for all sentient beings through the practice of love and compassion, Bodhichitta. And so through weapons, using all kinds of weapons that kill one another, we cannot bring peace in the world. And so peace must come through inner peace. And therefore, first we should work to develop peace within ourselves, and then do your best to serve the world for world peace. And therefore, today, so the Buddha became fully enlightened, having all the perfect body, speech and mind. He became so because of Bodhichitta, and also other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas become enlightened through Bodhichitta, this altruistic spirit of enlightenment. And we also have the seed for enlightenment, Buddhahood, within ourselves. Because of this Tathagata Garbha, so we are born as human beings. We are born in such a time when there is the teaching of the Buddha that has not completely vanished from the world. And so, having this opportunity to meet with the Dharma in this life, please have this determination to thinking that all sentient beings are same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering like yourself. You are only one single person, whereas others are infinite in number. And therefore, from my own side, to the best of my ability, think of developing as much as you can to develop this altruistic attitude to help others and not causing any harm to them. So, this Bodhichitta, meditate on it, and then in order to get rid of all our distorted views, misconceptions and so forth, we need to understand things are empty of any objective existence. As Chandrakirti in verse number 34 and so forth in chapter 6 of the Madhyamaka Avatara says, if the intrinsic characteristic of things were to arise dependently and so forth. So which goes through the four absurd or logical consequences. Absurd consequences. So thinking about, you should think of the fact that things are dependently arisen, dependence. With dependence, what you understand is that things are empty of any objective independent existence, and arising or origination, with that word, what you understand is that though things are empty of any intrinsic existence, yet they come about, they arise through causes and conditions, and therefore things have no objective independent existence whatsoever. And so meditate on emptiness for a while. And at the end of verse chapter 6, Master Chandrakirti says, thus illuminated by the rays of wisdom, the Bodhisattva, verse number 224, chapter 6, the Bodhisattva sees as clearly as a gooseberry on his open palm that the three rams in their entirety are unborn from their very start, and through the force of conventional truth, he journeys to cessation. Though this mind may rest continuously in cessation, he also generates compassion for beings bereft of protection, and so forth. And so, the Bodhisattva, by using the two wings of conventional and ultimate truth, understanding of these two, and experience of these two, goes across the ocean of samsara. And so it says, and like the king of swans, soaring ahead of other accomplished swans with white wings of conventional and ultimate truth spread wide, propelled by the powerful winds of virtue, the Bodhisattva would cruise to the excellent far shore, the oceanic qualities of the conquerors. So if you check yourself, who you are, your body is not you, not your mind is not you, but we have this very strong sense of cherishing oneself. And in the non-Buddhist tradition, they call it Atma, whereas in Buddhism, we talk about Anatma, or no self. So, whatever you may be engaged in, going somewhere, or resting, sleeping, or sitting, there's no self that can be pinpointed. Whether in the body or the mind, and therefore the self, though do not have any intrinsic existence, the self is merely designated on the basis of our aggregates, the psychophysical aggregates. So these two principles of bodhicitta that you have meditated on, first the bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta, which thinks of becoming a bodhisattva, a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Imagine it transforming into a white moon disk at your heart. And then, with regard to emptiness, even the Buddha cannot be pinpointed if you try to search for his identity in his body and mind and so forth, and you yourself and other sentient beings do not have any objective existence, and this transforms at your heart into a vajra. So, Om Sarva Yoga Citta Upatayami, repeat that 3 times. Om Sarva Yoga Citta Upatayami. So this completes the meditation on the all-encompassing mind yoga. So the Buddha's mind, Dharmakaya, and the Buddha's body with all the excellent marks and signs, these two come about through that of bodhicitta, bodhicitta giving rise to the rupakaya, the physical dimension of a Buddha, with all the marks and signs, and the understanding of emptiness brings about the Buddha's dharmakaya. So as followers of the Buddha and Master Nagarjuna, we should think of working on these two, the bodhicitta, the altruistic spirit of enlightenment, and the view of emptiness, life after life, and finally culminating in Buddhahood through our practice. And so, do your best in your practice of the bodhicitta and the ultimate reality of emptiness, and share your experience with others
whenever you have the opportunity. So without practicing yourself, how can you teach others? It will be just an empty word. So if you practice and then teach others, share the experience with others, others will also find it agreeable. So others will say that, oh, this person is sharing his own, what he practices with us. And so his teaching is something profound and also something which is broad and so forth. And so the others will also follow you. So with this we have so of course we will not finish the text. So we will go through the text as much as we can. So the essence is to meditate on Bodhichitta and the view of emptiness. I face you from here, and I am someone who, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I reflect on these two principles of bodhicitta and the ultimate view of emptiness. And because of having done these practices, these practice of these two, for years and years, I can see some change happening within myself, and therefore, as we are all same as human beings, in order to have peace of mind, whatever circumstances, bad circumstances or misery and so forth you may fall in, and these will help to keep your peace of mind. And so let us recite Om Mani Padme Hum, the sixth syllable mantra of Avalokiteshvara, who is the patron, the main deity, special deity of Tibet. So let us recite this mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, and also our mantra of Aryatara.
Om Mani Padme, 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 Om Mani Padme,
May whatever merit I have gained through this recitation, through this practice, may I become the Avalokiteshvara and help others also. And next is the recitation of the mantra of Aryatara, Om Taritu Tariture Soha, Om Taritu Tariture Soha, Om Taritu Tariture Soha, Om Taritu. Om Taritu Tariture Soha, 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 Om Taritu Tariture Soha. Om Taritu Tariture Soha, 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 Om Taritu Tariture Soha. May I accomplish and become Aryatara through this practice. So we have done with today's teaching. Please stay happy. If you stay happy, then you will have peace of mind. Otherwise, if you are unhappy, then you just tend to develop pride, jealousy, and so forth.
So if you are happy and at ease with yourself, then you will also remain smiling. If you look at me, I always keep my peace of mind. And even those who cause harm to Tibetans, I'm not angry with them. So you have never seen the Dalai Lama becoming angry. And so peace of mind is very important. So please keep that in mind. So we'll continue the teaching tomorrow. So that's all for today. So we are on page 29 somewhere after the first, the 2 lines from the text, root text. Please stay here for the review session. All of everyone who is in the booth.
Hello. God Buddhist.
Cháu Trần Ngọc Ách, có bà ngoại đang đợi ở trên trong chùa, trong chánh điện của chùa. Cháu đang ở đâu thì bà ngoại?
뒷밤은 뭐 이런 거 지금 공수처. 나 인대는 깨지고.